When programming in SQL Server, you will often be placed in situations where you have to perform operations on columns, but those operations won't work because the columns you are working with are of a different data type. And as you work with those data types, you will have to convert those data types from one to another. Now, SQL Server also performs conversions automatically. And when those conversions happen, they are known as implicit conversions. Although SQL Server does many conversions automatically, it doesn't always do them the way you want them to. Because of that, you need to be aware of how data conversions work, and you need to know when and how to specify the type of conversion you want to do. So in this video, we are going to learn how to use the cast and convert functions. These will be used to perform explicit conversions on data types in your database. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SQL Server Series. This video is brought to you in reference to Joe Marach's SQL Server 2016 for developers. If you're interested in purchasing a copy of this book, then please follow the link in the description below. The first function we're going to talk about is the cast function. And to write the cast function, you first start off by specifying the word cast. Then you open up two parentheses, and then in here, the first thing it's going to accept is an expression. And then it's going to have to use the as clause. And then right after the as clause, you're going to have to specify the data type that you want to cast over. And what this is going to do is this is going to take the column and it is going to convert it over into the data type that you provide here in the second field. And so now let's write a query that uses it. So I'm just going to start by selecting all from invoices. And this is from our AP database. And then I'm going to get my invoice date column, my invoice total. And then we're going to use the cast function. And then the first column that I want to pass in as my expression is going to be the invoice date. And then we're going to be casting our invoice date as a variable character. If you don't remember what this is, go back to the previous video that we just watched where we covered an explanation on this. And then we're going to name this as variable character date. The next one we're going to cast is going to be our invoice total column. We're going to cast this as an integer type, and then we're going to name this one as integer total. And then the next one I want to cast is going to be my invoice total again. And this time I want to cast it over to a variable character data type. And then I'm going to name this one as variable character total. And then we're going to run this query. And you see we have our two columns here first, our invoice date and our invoice total. And then we have our invoice date casted over as a variable character data type. And you see the format has changed now. And then we have our invoice total that's cast over as an integer. And now you can see the format has also changed. And then our invoice total as a variable character. And now you see it takes a shift back in format. So what happened here? Well, first our invoice date was casted over to the variable character data type. And so it was no longer a date time data type. And so it had to display the date as a variable character format. And so that is what it did here. Now invoice total here, that was casted over to an integer here. It was no longer a decimal data type. And so .33 is no longer going to display on this format. It is now going to display in single integers. And then our last cast of invoice total over to the variable character, it now takes over the same format as the decimal character, and that is because it is a format that is of string data and it can display and mimic the same format of other data types. So that is how you explicitly convert one data type over to another using an expression. Now we're going to take a look at another function that's called the convert function. And this is the syntax. We're going to write the convert, and we're going to open up parentheses. And the convert function works a little different from the cast function. First, before specifying the expression, we have to specify the data type. And so it's going to be data type, and then it's going to be comma separated, and then we're going to bring in our expression. And then after our expression, we can bring in what is known as a style. What that's going to allow us to do is to input an optional parameter that will allow us to adjust the format of how we want our expression to display in our result set. And so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all from invoices. Again, this is from our AP database, and then I want to get a convert going, and then we have to specify our data type first. So I'm going to be variable character, and then my expression is going to be invoice date, and then I'm going to name that as variable character date. And then let me just comment this out here at the top so that way we don't get anything confused. And then I'm going to use a comma separator, and then I'm going to do another convert, and then I'm going to specify my data type. It's going to be variable character again, and then I want my invoice date, and then I'm going to use the optional style parameter, and this time I'm going to pass in a 1 for that, and then I'm going to name this as variable character date 1. And then for my next convert, I'm going to specify the variable character data type again, and then I want my invoice date again, and then the next style number I'm going to use is 107, and I'm going to name this as variable character date 107. The next one I'm going to open up as another convert. I'm going to do another variable character. This time I want my invoice total, and then I want this one to be named variable character total. And for my last convert, of course, it's going to be another variable character. I'm pretty sure you guys can see my pattern now, and it is going to be the invoice total column, and then I'm going to pass in a 1 as my style, optional style parameter. Oops. And then I'm going to name this as variable character total underscore 1. We're going to run this query, and you see by passing in a 1 as our style and an optional parameter here for invoice date, we have changed the format to month, day, year. And then when we passed in 107, we changed the format to month, day, year. And then for our variable character totals here, since we're dealing with money, when we passed in a 1 for variable character total, we got 2 digits to the right of the decimal point, and commas to the left. And so that is how the convert function works. It's different from the cast function. It has more options, and it gives you a lot more versatility than the cast function. In my opinion, the cast function should just be used to do a quick cast to the data type that you want when you don't want to utilize the optional style parameter with the convert function. These are some of the common style codes that are used for converting date time to character data, and for converting real data, and also for converting money data. So study up on this. Definitely take a note of this if you're going to be using the convert function with expressions to convert one column or an expression to a different data type, and you want to include a specific style, then you'll want to go off of this chart here. So that is all for this video. If you're interested in the next video, head on over to database-tutorials.com. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, hit the unlike button. If you want to receive automatic notifications when our next video is posted, simply hit the subscribe button. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.